This morning, as I was working out, I was flipping through channels and was watching the Brazilians go into conniption fits like North Koreans when Kim Jong-il died, crying and beating their chest and having national mourning and blaming Mick Jagger for being bad luck because he rooted for the Brazilian team when the Germans trounced them, 7-1? 7-0? In fact, give me the scores. I think it was 7-1. The point here is that I didn't watch it and I don't know and I don't care. I'm not against people that want to watch soccer or football, whatever. It's the mental illness obsession with people's identity being, yes, it was 7-1, being tied up in it. And when I was looking at the faces of the men, women, and children with the sound off, so I watch television with the sound off most of the time, they literally look like they just got news that their house had burned down or that their grandmother was dead. And I know we've talked about the fake culture and people being obsessed with television, but I've been watching a little bit more TV lately. Last night over at some friends' houses, I had my children with me, and we watched some of those Naked and Afraid shows that are pretty good shows where the people go out and survive. We're watching some that have been saved on TiVo from months ago about Brazil, of all places, back to Brazil and the Amazon and how absolutely hellish it is. But interspersed, we watched 3 episodes. It was all about how being a male in charge makes your rating go down and how being a feminist is how you survive in the jungle. And I was just thinking about no matter what show it is, dramas, reality shows, cop shows, movies, there are messages in them. Anti-gun, anti-liberty, anti-male. Just everything is brainwashing, basically. And you've got people that are brought up in this who really believe that this is how the world works. And that's what creates the slacker society of people that have no ambition, don't care if they're losing their freedom, don't want to work, don't want to have their own business, don't want to work for anybody, don't want to be self-directed, don't want to be directed because they literally are trendy television heads who believe that's reality. And what does it do to have the average American watching about 6 hours of television, the average youth upwards of 10 hours of television and video games, that's the current numbers, looking at something that isn't real or is someone else and believing that that's the real universe when it is a bunch of social conditioning. And that's why we're in so much trouble and why reality can be turned on its head or inverted. And that's why the power structure can pass Obamacare designed to bankrupt the country and hurt poor people on record with death panels and 7 taxes on poor people, 21 taxes total, and do all the things to shut the economy down, the jobs, up the energy prices, up the food prices, devalue the dollar, publicly shipping illegals, dumping them in cities to bankrupt them, and just get away with bloody murder is because a large portion of the public aren't even people now. They've been raised as these reactive creatures that think television is the universe and who are really extensions of the television. Zombies, remote control robots, literally, who just wander around lazily buying whatever they're told. I mean, we're living in a science fiction disaster film. Later in the next hour, we are going to have our reporters from the ground in Southern California where the churches are now deploying the illegals to Democratic Party members' homes who will then get paid by Obama to keep them there, kind of like foster children. So this is a whole new giant racket of undocumented children that can be used as mules, as money laundering cutouts, as welfare pumps, I mean, this is a giant criminal operation that, again, is modeled after Acorn, but I would say will end up being, let's not exaggerate, 15, 20 times bigger than Acorn. And all of their child sex trafficking admissions, I mean, they're just on video. Remember those famous videos from 4 years ago saying, he went to Acorn after Acorn. The head of Veritas did, and the Veritas Project, James O'Keefe, and said, hi, I want to run Hispanic sex slaves through here, children. They're like, all right, let's help you get that set up. It was just, he'd go to the next place, and they'd say, yeah, you got little kids? We're ready to run the op. Here's how you do it. And America just doesn't know how to deal with a hardcore criminal takeover like this. That's why they're announcing the Tea Party and gun owners and veterans are terrorists, because these people are terrorists that run the government. They are hell-bent to overthrow the country and wreck everything and break our backs forever so they can have their way and get away with anything. They understand that if they can set the precedent to shut off our power plants and double our power prices, ship our jobs overseas, have the elite not pay taxes but raise taxes on poor people, pass Obamacare to bankrupt the country, open the border up and order the Border Patrol to stand down and ship in illegals en masse and pay to ship them in with vouchers for Greyhound to waiting Democratic Party crime organizations and law firms. They can do anything, and they will. They will tell you. They will tell you to not use the word bossy, as Michelle Obama did, and now people are not using the word bossy. She said that is a covert insult to women, so I'm going to tell you not to use it, which, of course, is bossy. That archetype of a Jezebel spirit. By the way, this is a side issue. I've always thought Michelle Obama looked like something was wrong with her. They talk about how beautiful she is. She looks profanely scary and monstrous to me. And she always wears these weird fluffy things around her waist. And her shoulders are wide enough to put 3 men's heads on. And, of course, you know the classic thing of a male. You could have 3 heads on a male's shoulders and only another head on a woman's shoulder, or 1/2 of a head on each side. That's a well-known thing in anatomy. And I saw an online video that I may air today, and we may look into this, talking about Michelle Obama looking like a man and how they only release photos of her with her hands up, covering her shoulders, or her turned at an angle. And I started looking at it with Joan Rivers saying she's a transvestite. And I'd been hearing this for years, and I thought, come on. I know Obama was raised by a transvestite and the rest of it, and I'm not getting into bashing people. That's not my cup of tea. But I started to really last night look at videos of this and look at photos of her in the official White House photo, and she looks like an NBA center. I mean, she looks more like Shaquille O'Neal than a black woman. And knowing all the weirdness and that we don't even know who Obama really is and his Social Security numbers don't e-verify. And then his dad, clearly, we saw the documentary, Dreams of My Real Father. And, I mean, it's him with the famous pornographer who lived in Hawaii, who his grandfather was best buddies with, and who Obama would stay the summers with, a famous communist pornographer. And you look at the guy, it's Obama's dad. So the whole Kenya thing with her saying, my husband's from Kenya, we visited his place of birth in multiple videos in 2006 and 2007. His Harvard review, where he was the head of the Harvard Law Review, and he said, I was born in Kenya in his bio. And in his bio for shopping book deals when he was a senator, state senator, said, I was born in Kenya. And we took that bait, hook, line, and sinker, folks. That, oh, my God, they're covering up the records. Oh, he's from Kenya. But his dad looks nothing like him. And then you see Frank Marshall Davis. I mean, it's his daddy. And then his grandfather's best buddies with him in the CIA. And then you go, oh, my gosh. And then imagine the joke. See, it's all about a joke on us. That he's got cutout daughters, look nothing like him, and a cutout wife. And I began to look at his daughters last night and look at his wife. She's has that double chromosomal disorder where women are really men. And it's turned out a lot of the Olympic runners and a lot of the top tennis players and things really are not even really females. They're not hermaphrodites. Some of them are hermaphrodites or both. A lot of them have this double chromosome. Men can have it too. And the Olympics are looking at trying to ban this in men and women because men are like supermen. They're like cavemen. And then the women are like men when they have this chromosomal disorder. Was the double X, double Y. In fact, print me some literature on that. I'm going from memory. But I've always looked at her jaw, her shoulders, her pelvis. All of it looks male. And she has that male Superman physique. And it just clicked. You know what? I bet she is not who she says she is. I mean, my gut just really registered with that. What do you think about that? There is chromosome abnormality. Chromosome anomaly, abnormality, aberration, or mutation is a missing, extra, or irregular portion of chromosomal DNA. It can be from a atypical number of chromosomes or a structural abnormality in one of the chromosomes. Chromosome mutation has formerly used in a strict sense to mean a change in a chromosomal segment involving more than one gene. Yeah, but find the one, guys, that's hyper male or hyper female. It's super male, super female. Because I remember seeing documentaries about it and reading books about it and biology, reading about it. But it's a big issue in the Olympics. They talk about it on ESPN, where they go and they do blood tests on, you know, female runners and folks that don't look like women. And, hey, it turns out they don't have a penis, excuse my French, but that's the word. That's the medical word for it. But they do have male genetics. They're men. They're men. And it turned out, remember the Russians couldn't lose in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and the women weightlifting didn't really look like women, and they would test them, and you know, they didn't have steroids in them, but they looked like men. Well, they were men. Now, continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, let's open the phones up about that. I mean, they lie about everything else. They said there were no death panels in Obamacare, and now they admit, yes, there are death panels.
It's not about justice. It's not about agenda. It's not about mobilizing people. It's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.
The United States of America is a terrorist base of operations. The United States of America is a friend to their evil plans. We are barbaric criminals joined in this operation by our staunch friend, Great Britain. The United States of America is an enemy to the starving and suffering men and women and children of Afghanistan. This military action is a part of our campaign against 1 billion worldwide who practice the Islamic faith.